Hello and welcome back to George's Gaming Guide. I'm George's dad, best known as Breakingdad, and this is the third part of the Ferrari Daytona SP3 build. The build so far is looking amazing. So the angles that we've managed to achieve on this are spectacular. I mean, you've got the working engine in there as well, but let's say it's a bit hard to show you that now, so if you haven't watched already, have a look at the first video in this series because it shows the engine and gearbox before it all gets covered. And then the way they've done the light structure at the front is really nice as well. So this is actually set 42143. It's an impressive 3,778 pieces and is nearly 60 centimeters long. It's actually the same scale as the other supercars like the Chiron and the Cyan, but it just seems bigger. It's extremely wide, and I'd say it's longer than the others as well. Once it's finished, we'll put it next to it to properly try to see what the size difference is, but this just feels a bigger set. So today we're moving on to the final box, which is, as you can probably see, the seats and doors are going to be the next section, and then we've still got all the back end to do with the lights on it. We've got the bonnet, and we've got the removable roof as well, so there's still quite a lot. And then one of the things that I love about this set, so the final thing we'll do, which if I open the box we'll give you a little peek at, is the absolutely gorgeous looking alloy wheels. Now these, I like the wheels on the Chiron and the Cyan, but looking at these are probably my favourite design so far. So really looking forward to doing them. So yeah, so there's a lot to do in this box, but I think it's going to look absolutely fantastic when it's done. So without further ado, let's get on with the build. So here we have the finished model, and it is very impressive. I mean, before I go into the actual details of the set itself, I just want to go over some of the specifications for this amazing car. There's actually only going to be 599 of these built, and they started building them this year, and I think they're going to be built to the end of next year. If you want one, you're going to have to find $2.25 million to be able to buy one of these. So it's not a cheap car, but as I say, it's basically a track car. I mean, the car itself weighs less than a ton and a half, which for the size of the car is nothing really. It's got natural aspirated 6.5 litre V12. I believe this is the first sort of limited production car they've done since 2002 that isn't a hybrid or non-naturally aspirated. So that's quite impressive. Yeah, it's to go back to that heritage. It's got a 7-speed gearbox, and the gearbox itself is crazy. You can actually change gear in about 200 milliseconds. So yeah, you can't even imagine that. It's so quick, and that basically translates into crazy performance. It can do 0 to 100 kilometers, which is 62 miles an hour, in about 2.85 seconds. It can do 0 to 200 kilometers, which is 124 miles an hour, in about 7.4 seconds. And it can do 340 kilometers an hour, or about 211 miles an hour. So the specification of this car is just phenomenal. But it's £2.25 million, so you wouldn't really expect much else. So to go into the build itself, this was a really good build. It was tough. There were some really awkward bits, especially around the gearbox, and to get some of the angles, it was a bit hard to follow the instructions in places. But overall, it was actually quite fun to build. We did have one problem, which was we were missing a piece. So I have requested it from Lego, but fortunately we knew someone who had got one of those pieces, so they've allowed me to have that to actually complete the build. And then when the piece arrives, I'll replace it to them so that they haven't missed out on the piece. But I think overall it was just a really fun build. Now, I actually thought this was bigger than the other supercars, so the Cyan and the Chiron that I had, but it's not. The Cyan is actually slightly longer, and is exactly the same width. So that's it's quite surprising. It just feels bigger. Just on the table here, it just looks a bigger vehicle. I mean, it's done to the same scale, so I presume it makes sense that it is similar size. But I think you can tell the difference over the last 2 years and the last 4 years going back to the Chiron in terms of the way they've got the body panels to work. Because I mean, they look good. Yeah, it's the Cyan better than the Chiron, but there's still lots of gaps in. Where this, yes, you do have gaps, but to be honest, I think they've done a fantastic job. I mean, if you look here on the back, of actually creating the shape and not having too many gaps in it, so it actually looks like proper bodywork, which I think is really clever. And maybe that's the input of Ferrari. Or I don't think any of these are new pieces, but I could be wrong. But it just works. Yeah, they fit together really nicely. I like the fact that in these sets there's no stickers. It's the badges on the Ferrari. I mean, they're really good. They're all properly centralised and everything on the printing, and it just for the price of the set and with the prestige of the set, it has to be printed really. It wouldn't be right to have a set like this with stickers. Now let's go into some of the details of this. So unlike the other two cars, this is actually a Targa top, so you can take the roof off. I mean, it's a very simple build. It's one of the last things you do build. So inside you can see the blue Alcantara leather. I think they are seats in the actual car, which would be liveried with all the Ferrari logos. It's a shame they haven't done that, but they've done a lot of printing, so I don't really blame them there. It probably comes down to the one thing I don't like about this car, which is you can see this Technic piece or Technic work in the middle for making the engine move I would have liked if they'd actually put something over the top of that so you didn't see that. Not a huge problem, it's going to be on a shelf, you won't really see it, but I know it's there. The dashboard itself is really nice printing, and the sequential gearbox does work reasonably well. I mean, in the Cyan, I remember I had an issue with the gearbox that it was very temperamental. You could use it a couple of times and it'd stick, but this one seems to work perfectly. So they've definitely done some improvement there. And the steering, it does work, and it works fairly well. The engine itself, with the gearbox and everything, the V12 really works well on this. It's a bit hard to see, as it was on the, well, it's impossible to see on the Cyan. On this one, you can just about see the pistons underneath the Ferrari logoed engine covers, which I think is quite nice. As I say, it's not going to be the easiest of things to see, so perhaps we'll try and put some photos on the end of this video as well. You have the spoiler at the back. As I say, there's no movement in this. I don't believe there is in the real car either. You have the light cluster going across the back. Would be nice to see this with a lighting kit, because I think that would be quite nice. I have seen somewhere it's like dots going all the way across, which doesn't really work. But obviously I have seen one which actually got the strip that looks really, really nice. The huge twin exhaust on the back and all the aero elements. The doors themselves, the mechanism is actually quite complex on this, and it works really well. So as you lift it, it then goes into the butterfly movement, so it opens up and out. And to get that movement, I don't know how they did it, to be honest. It's the Technic features that went into there, and the way the bars all sort of pull it out it's very clever engineering. So I don't think I'd be able to design it, and I don't know how long it took them to do it, but the movement just works. Yeah, that's really nice. And under the bonnet, you've got a huge area at the front, which I presume would be for the Ferrari suitcases. You've got the front of the steering rack in there, and there's actually a little plate on top, which when you get this set along with the other supercar sets, there's actually a code you put on Lego, and it gives you some extra downloads. So I think there's about 20 different wallpapers you can get with this, which is really nice. It's nice to have, but it is a nice to have. It's not something I'll probably use. I mean, the only ones I have downloaded were because I actually used them for the end screen and the thumbnail for the video, so that was nice because it was the one place to get the proper Daytona SP3 logo. So going on to the front, I say you have got the Ferrari badge in the middle there. I don't know how easy that's going to be able to see, but again, I think they've got the shape reasonably well. And again, it just works. The wing mirror is always, that's probably one thing that lets all the cars down. But they can't really put a lot of detail into that, so I won't hold that against Lego. And then the final bit, which I think really, really sort of finishes this off, is the wheels themselves. So these are pretty much exact replicas of the wheels you can get on the Daytona SP3. I think these are the standard ones. You can get diamond cut ones, which are a slightly different colour, but as I say, these just look really nice, especially with the printed Ferrari inserts. So there's a little stud which has got the Ferrari logo on. And one thing that I wasn't quite sure when I first opened the box, you've got the alloys are numbered 1 and 2, and that's because the blades on the wheels actually, because of the aero, are actually angled a certain direction. So you have, I think number 1 was one side of the car, number 2 was the other side of the car. So it's nice that they've actually gone to that detail rather than giving you 4 identical wheels. So it actually is, again, a lot like the proper car. But yeah, there's not much more I can say about this. I absolutely love this. So I've been a fan of Ferraris all my life. I would love to get one. Probably never happen. So this is probably about the closest I'm going to get. And I think they've done a really good job of replicating this car. But Build quality, I'd say very, very good. It's a set that there's not many 18 plus sets that I think really justify being 18 plus. This is a set that I can sort of understand that rating, especially with the gearbox and the steering in the first box. It's pretty complex. Some of the bits are a bit awkward to get on, so I understand the higher age rating for that. Maybe not, doesn't need to be an 18 plus, but it definitely understand why it is. In terms of looks, I think this is going to look amazing on the shelf. I need to try to figure out how I can fit this with the Chiron and the Cyan, but I think the three of them together are going to look spectacular. I'd love to get the Porsche at some time, but I say the price is a little bit crazy at the minute for the Porsche. Would I recommend this? 100% yes. If you like cars and you have the money and you have the space, definitely get this. I say there are things that could be improved, as with every Lego set, but I think this is a fantastic model to have in anyone's collection, and I would really 100% recommend that you go for this build. I think that's probably all I need to say on this. I say I'd love to hear your comments on this, or if you've got any questions, please put them in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it came across how much I enjoyed building this set. It'd be great if you could like and send a comment of what you thought about this video. If you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe to George's channel. George's video, the review of this, should also be out now as well, so please make sure you have a look at that. And on Sunday, George will be doing his first Technic set on his own, which will be the McLaren GTR. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon.